In this video, we're going to look at building a custom connector, and to do that, we're going to use a pet store sample API to build the custom connector with. We're going to start building our custom connector in the Flow portal, but you could do the same thing in the Power Apps portal. You can start creating the custom connector by going to Data, Custom Connectors, and from here, you can create a new custom connector or import it from various places. Creating a connector from this path does not put it in a solution that makes it easy to move around between environments. If you go to Solutions, you'll see we have a number of solutions. Most of these are built in, but we've created a pet store management to hold all our assets for the project that we're working on. In this solution, we have already created a pet store inventory application, a Canvas application, and a process out of stock inventory Cloud Flow that we plan to use our custom connector in once it's built. Now we're going to build our custom connector in this solution. That means that we can move all these assets together from one environment to another. Now to create our custom connector, we simply say New, Other, and select Custom Connector. That launches the wizard process that will walk us through creating a custom connector. Here we can upload an icon, fill in an image for the background color, give a description so our users will know what it is, and if we're using an on-premise connector, we can connect to an on-premise data gateway to reach that on-premise asset. To get started, I'm going to simply give our connector a name. We'll call it Pet Store. You do have to provide a host name, so I'm going to simply paste in the host name that the API uses. And then it will let me go ahead and create the custom connector. Now I haven't defined any of the operations. We'll do that in a minute. Now if we look at the definition for our connector, we don't have any actions or triggers. And I want to go ahead and import the OpenAPI definition that was available from the API. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click the back button. I'm going to go ahead and click the ... update from an OpenAPI URL. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. Now we'll see that it brought in a description. If we go to security, we'll see that it set up the security to have API key. We could also edit that, and we could also see that we have the different options if we wanted to change the authentication or if we were setting this up. Go to the definition. We'll see that it brought in all our different operations. We'll see that many of them have the little blue icon next to it. What that's telling us is that we're missing a description and that the operation ID does not start with uppercase. So we could fix that by simply making the changes recommended, and we can see that that's now happy with what we've done. If we look at one of the other operations on here, add pet, we'll notice that if we go down to the request, that it's defined the body in the parameters. If we click on that and edit, we'll see the individual pieces that it wishes to have. We can also edit these, so like if we wanted this to be a little bit more user-friendly, we can give it a title, we can give it a description, we can even give a default value, we can mark it as required. And you also have some visibility that we'll talk about in one of the other topics as well, where you can do things like hide the property or mark it as important or advanced so the user has to click to see that property. It's not cluttering up their normal view. You also have a more advanced editor. If I click up here on the Swagger editor, this will take me in and it will show any errors you have that you need to resolve, but it'll also show you the markup in YAML that is brought in by the import. And you'll notice that what it doesn't like is it doesn't like some of the auth attributes on here. Sometimes with APIs you have to do some slight tweaking. We're not going to use that, so we can simply go ahead and remove those from it. To get this API usable, is we would do that for each of the ones that have been marked to resolve any of the errors. Sometimes that is required when you bring in some constructs that aren't supported by the Power Platform in definition of their custom connectors. Now I've gone ahead and removed the rest of those, so we'd notice we don't have any more errors. We can turn the editor off, go back to our definitions. From here you can also do various operations, such as if you want to delete an item. I'm going to go ahead and delete the get inventory. And what we'll do is we'll actually add that operation manually. When you add an operation manually, you'll give it a summary. Remember, this is used in the top of the action card, so we'll call this get inventory. We'll give it an operation ID. Remember, it likes camel case with capital G. We want this to be always visible, so we're not going to change this, but if we wanted to, we could mark this as important to highlight it. We're going to import from sample our request. So what we would do is we would come over here, we would find the inventory, we'd expand it, and we would look at the example The other thing we could do is we could also go into the browser, paste in the URL, and this would give us an example of the data that it's going to return. And what we would do is we would then use this for the response. We'd use the request. So our request, we don't want to pass anything. So what we'd do is go ahead and import from sample. We're going to do a get. Now I got that from looking at the API over here. It's a get operation. I'll paste in the URL and I'll go ahead and import. Now to do the response, it generates a default response. What I'm going to do is click on that. I can also import that from sample. We'll copy this from our example of running it, paste that in, and go ahead and import. You can see that it brought in all our properties from that example that we imported in. And then we could go on over to test, go ahead and put in our secret key, go ahead and refresh, have our connection, go ahead and choose our get inventory operation, and we'll go ahead and give that a test. And we can see that we get back our inventory. So that's what it takes to build a custom connector. Now this is ready to use in the apps or flows that you build.